Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on 3 different gauges or swatch gauges if you will. Now this is a wool, this is an acrylic and this is a cotton. They are all 10 ply or Aran weight or a number 4 overseas. So they should all call for the same hook. But guess what? They don't. Now I'm going to show you in this tutorial what I did and what happened with these and why I had to use different size hooks and what happens at the end of your piece when you are finished and you want to make your cardigan or whatever it is you're making, skirt, jacket, it doesn't matter. If you do not do a gauge, you will see at the end of this tutorial what will happen if you don't do a gauge. All right, so there's the gauges that we're going to be working on today. Now there are 3 different types of yarn or threads if you will, with 3 different hook size. I'm sorry, 2 different hook size for 2 one hook size for 2, get it right Mary, 1 hook size for 2 1 hook size for those 2 and 1 for that one there. Now all right, let's talk the reason why we're creating these gauge swatches if you will, and there it is, we are going to create that cardigan here on the channel. Yay, very exciting. As soon as the paid pattern goes up on the website we will be creating this pattern. Now get excited guys, because I'm very excited because I've been wearing this cardigan on and off for a week and I love it, to be honest with you. Now this is the yarn right here that I will be using on the channel, different colors of course, to create that cardigan that you just saw. So this yarn here calls for a 5mm hook and we're going to use the 5mm hook for that one. Now I know that already because I created the cardigan with this 5mm hook. So this is the hook you will need to create the cardigan. If you are using this one, if your gauge turns out the same as mine, if it doesn't, then you need to change your hook sizes, all right? And I'll talk about that throughout the tutorial here. This one here was the 10 ply cotton, and it called for a 4.5mm hook. But I know for a fact, because I've tried it before, that that comes across way too tight for me. So I actually use the 5mm hook for that one there. Now this one here calls for a, where is it there? 5mm hook, but guess what? I used the 5 at first for this particular piece right here. Then I changed to the 4.5 because this particular acrylic, even though Aran weight or 10 ply or a number 4 overseas, was actually rather thick than the other 2. So you will be testing for yourself if you want to create your cardigan with the wool, 100% wool, with the cotton or with the acrylic. Now you can create your cardigan in any one of these if you check your gauge. Now it will come out a little different if you don't use 100% pure wool, because yours truly is going to be using the 100% pure wool. However, it won't be completely different if you use the acrylic. Might be a little bit different if you use cotton. It'll sit differently because cotton obviously is softer. Depending on the cotton, you know, there's some, you know, really dense cotton as well, which can be quite heavy on your body as well. So that's what you'll need for this tutorial. You will also need a scissors and you'll need a sewing darning needle if you want to weave your ends in. I didn't do that. You will need 2 stitch markers, any kind. They can be like this, they can be safety pins, hair pins, pieces of thread, whatever. You don't have to over fuss. You will obviously need your yarn, your wool, your cotton and your acrylic, or whatever you're going to use to make your gorgeous cardigan. And you will need your patience, because not only are we going to be creating these 3 pieces, but we're going to wash and block them as well so that we can see if they change at the end. Now, do they change, I hear you ask? I'm not sure. You'll have to watch to find out. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started creating your gorgeous gauge swatches. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off by working with the luxury yarn. Now this is the yarn that I did use to make this gorgeous cardigan. Check it out. Now this is definitely the yarn I used for that cardigan, and look at the colors on that, both front and back. How gorgeous is that? Now we will be using this one today, plus we will be using some acrylic and some cotton, and I'll show you that later. But we're starting off with this one here. Now this one does call for a 5mm hook, and we are going to use a 5mm hook. All right, now I've already done a swatch in this particular yarn, so I know pretty much how much 4 inches is going to make, and you saw it in the promo as well. However, let's just pretend that I haven't, and let's just say I'm going to chain up a certain amount, and we're doing our half double crochets across. Now, okay, so let's start by doing our chains. Now you will need your stitch markers for this part if you are new to crochet. If you are already an avid crocheter or a more experienced crocheter and you know exactly what you're doing, by all means it's not necessary. But if you are new, I would suggest using stitch markers. So grabbing your tail end, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. All right, passing your back loop halfway over your finger, hold it there, pass the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in, give it all a tug. All right, so let's start off by chaining 15, and a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once, yarn over twice, yarn over 3, 4, 5. All right, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All right, so now what we're going to do is start our half double crochet row, and that is yarn over your hook, skipping 1, 2, and in your third chain, we'll show you closer. That's 1 chain, 2 chains, and in that third one right there, you're popping your hook in, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You're going to pop your stitch marker in those 2 top loops there of that stitch we just made, like so. And then in every stitch across, you're going to put half double crochets. So you've got one in there already, so this is your very next stitch there. So pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, yarn over your hook, in the next chain, and pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 3. And that's what you're going to do all the way across your row. It's one thing I do love the half double crochet, because it is a lot bigger than your single and still fills up some gaps and is not so gappy like your double is. It's not as tall as your double, so it takes a little longer to create projects with it, but it does look gorgeous, and there are many things that you can make with your half doubles. And we're making our cardigan, guys. It's coming up very, very soon, very, very soon. Just having a bit of play with gauges and swatches so that you can understand the differences between threads. So yarn over your hook, I've got my very last stitch and it's really in there, you can see it. So just pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That is a little knot, you don't need to worry about that. I'm going to lift up my thread because I would like for you to count your stitches. You should have 13 stitches across, but let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, so we are going to create another row, and in our pattern that I'm going to use, you will have a chain 1 at the end of every row. It does not count as a stitch, all right? It's just a chain. So turn your work. Now you can turn your work either way you like. You can turn it this way, or you can turn it this way. Now this is the way I like to turn it, like I'm turning the page in a book, to remind me that's the way I turned it. It's not necessary. Just remain consistent throughout your work, yeah? So yarn over our hook. When we do our half double crochets across, we are putting our half double crochets through these spaces that you see up the top. So our very first one is right there. That is the very first chain, let's try stitch that we are going to go into. So yarn over your hook, yeah? In that first space that you see, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, hold it there. Now this is very important, this stitch, to pop your stitch marker. Now the reason is at the end of the row, when you come back, this stitch can be missed, all right, and then you can be 1 stitch short. So make sure, if you are new to crochet, that you use stitch markers or a piece of thread or a safety pin, anything that you can think of, you can put them there, yeah? So your very next stitch right there, yeah? And there, and there. And you are popping 2 loops on top, if that helps. So yarn over your hook. You've got your hook through and you've got your 2 loops on top, yeah? Pull the loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and do it again. Right in the very next stitch, and all the way across your row, yeah? So let's bring it out a bit further, sorry. And just keep going. I'm just bring it out so that you don't see me rush fast and then get all confused and dizzy. A lot of people have said, oh Mary, it's too close, I'm getting dizzy. Once you know the stitch, you know exactly where to go, and we're just going to do that at the end of this row. All right, pretty coolio, yeah? Pretty coolio. We're nearly there, nearly there. Let's get a close up again. Okay, so yarn over the hook. You've got 2 stitches left here. Put the first one in, or the second last one in there. Now, this is why I say pop the stitch marker. If you are new to crochet, you might think, oh well, I'm at the end of my row, I'm done. But there is that little stitch hiding right down there that can be missed, which is why I told you to put your stitch marker over there as well. All right, so you need to grab your hook, yarn over your hook, into that stitch. Did it go through both loops? No, now it has. I might have split the yarn. I think I've split the yarn there. I have. You know what? I've split the yarn, so I'm going to take my stitch marker out. That's the tight stitching, yeah? Okay, so pop your hook in there, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, chain 1. All right, now remember to chain 1 at the end of every row, because your pattern, this pattern right here, as you see, will need a chain 1 at the end of every row, okay? All right, so what you have done so far is 2 rows, okay? So what I want you to do, just grab your measuring tape at this stage. It may not measure up to be exactly 4 inches or 10 centimeters, but it might. All right, so right now it pretty much does, yeah? It pretty much does. Let's make that even there. And there it is. It is 10 centimeters or 4 inches. Now across this way, it is smaller than 1 inch. All right, just over 2 centimeters, but it's smaller than 1 inch. Just remember that when we are measuring our next 2 pieces, the cotton and the acrylic, because they will be different, yeah? All right, so what you have right here is your 2 rows. Now, what I want you to do is complete this row over and over and over again, the one that we just did, over and over again, until you reach 11 rows in total, okay? You've done 2 rows, so you need to do another 9 more rows, okay? So head off on your own, complete 9 more rows, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. All right, here we are at the end of the 11th row, and I have my measuring tape, and we're going to measure across. So from there to there is, let's get a close up, right there, 4 inches or 10 centimeters, yeah? And from there to there is 4 inches, pop that right on there, or 10 centimeters. All right. Now that's not enough for me to have just created the square. What we're going to do now is what you should have gotten to, and let me show you close up. You should have got to your 11th row. Just pull a loop through, give your work a cut. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to wash and block that, but not yet, because we're going to wash and block all 3 pieces together. And the next one we're going to do is this one here, the yellow. Now the yellow itself, this is the yarn of the label of the yellow. It is 100% acrylic, and it doesn't actually say what it is, not really, but it is a 10 ply, and it does call for exactly the same yarn. Let's try exactly the same hook that we just used for the other 10 ply. All right, so we're going to do exactly the same with this. Alrighty, here we go. We're going to grab our tail end again, wrap it around our finger once and twice, hold it there, pass the back loop halfway over, the other loop all the way over. You know this part. We've done it already with the other piece, but we'll start you off, all right? So chain, what did we chain for our other piece here? We chained 15. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Yes? Then we yarn over our hook. We went too far. We went 1, 2, and in that, it's 1, 2, and in the third one, we put our first half double. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now, what did we do before? We did one more row and then we checked those measurements. So chain 1, turn your work, yarn over your hook. In that very first stitch we are doing half double, and I'm going to pop this part on fast for you, and off we go until we get to the end of this row. Alright, I'm struggling guys because my yarn, look at this. I've managed to tangle up everything. You had one job, Mary. Alright, here we go. We're under control now. Alright, so I've got a couple of more stitches left. Let me just get you a close-up of this part. And one in there. I'm going to count my stitches to make sure we haven't lost any. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now, do you remember our measurement before for this piece? Yeah. Now this goes to show you the difference between the yarn. We've done exactly the same for both pieces, but check this measurement out. Let me get a close-up so that you see it. Already we're on almost 4 1/4 inches, nearly 4 1/2, right? Or just on 11 centimeters at the moment, yeah? And this way, we have actually got a full inch, or almost 2 1/2. Actually, it kind of is 2 1/2 centimeters, or an inch, all right? So just a heads up to let you know that already that is going to be, you know it's going to be a lot bigger. All right, so where do we go from here, I hear you ask? We did our piece, or started doing our piece in a 5mm hook. Yes, so what you know it's going to be bigger. You don't know how much bigger, right? I'm assuming just one stitch bigger. you could drop the stitch. That would change the stitch amount for all your work. It'd be totally confusing. So what you're going to do instead, because this is going to be really big, you need to make it smaller. To make it smaller, you need to tighten the stitch. To tighten the stitch, you need to drop a hook size and start using your 4.5. So my deal is to take all of this undone, start again using your 4.5 millimeter hook. Chain on exactly the amount of chains, do exactly the same amount of rows, and it should add up to be the same as that. If by any chance your piece was smaller, then you need to go up a hook size to a 5.5 millimeter hook. But ours is really loose, so I'm going to drop it down to the 4.5 millimeter hook. All right, for now. Okay, so there we go. We're going to make, I don't know why I brought that back out again. Go ahead and do 2 rows of this in your lower hook, smaller hook, or your larger hook, whichever way you need to go. And then meet me back here after you've done your 11th row and we will measure it again. All right, go ahead and do that now, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of my 11th row, and I ended up with a knot on my 10th row, so I had to add a thread, so don't worry about that, that's nothing to do with it. But let's get a close-up look of it. There you go, 4 inches 10 centimeters, yeah? Let's try the length, 4 inches 10 centimeters. Pop both our little squares together like so, and there you go. Turn it around, and there you go. All right, so okay, let's look at what we've done so far. We've done a 5, we've done a 4.5, and now we're going to do the cotton. And the cotton, I'm going to use a 5 millimeter hook, because I know that this 10 ply cotton, for me, the hook size that they asked for, which is a 4.5, it comes across a little tight. So I already know that for myself. But let's say I didn't know and I used a 4.5 millimeter hook and I finished my square and it was small, I would have to take it undone and do it again in the next size up. But I'm going to try it with the next size up to begin with. All right, so have we cut this? No, let's give it a cut. There you go, and there you go. Your 2 pieces are ready to block. We're going to start with our red, and as you can see, it's a little bit fray, so it goes to show when you leave your cotton or even wool, when you leave it in stock for too long, it starts to go a bit funny. So we are going to use, or I'm going to use, a 5 millimeter hook on mine. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start again making our slip knot around our finger once and twice, holding it there and there. Do I sound repetitive? I am. All right, so that's that. Pop our hook in, and what we're going to do is chain 15 once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Look how fast I'm going. 14, 15. Yarn over the hook. We're going to skip 1, 2 and jump into our 3rd right there with a half double crochet. And I'm going to pop this on fast. Let's get to the end of the row. Yay! Okay, I'm on my second last stitch there, and let's just bring this up a little. Let's do that last stitch. Make sure you have, let's chain 1, make sure you have 13 half double crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now I'm not putting stitch markers in these ones because we've done this so many times, but you guys are still welcome to put stitch markers in, especially if you're new to crochet. So flip your work like you've been doing all along, and let's pop this one on fast, and off we go. Alrighty, how did you go, guys? Let's get a close up right here. And where's my half double? There it is. Bit tricky, would have been better off if I put the stitch marker in, right? They're saying. Oh. All right, so let's pop this down. And I'm looking at this, it's starting to look a little tight for me, even though I've gone up a hook size, but there you go. So this is just the beginning anyway, but cotton does stretch. So a little heads up there. I might continue doing my rows, get to the 11th row, and I'll meet everyone back here once I've done. Because I know for a fact that cotton stretches. And you know what? Look at that. 10 ply stretches a lot as well. The thicker the ply, the more it stretches. It's like anything, yeah? So what I want you to do, continue your rows, get to your 11th row, meet me back here, and we'll check all 3 pieces and we'll see where we're going from there. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of my 11th row. Now already I can feel a little bit of a stretch, but that doesn't mean anything. Let's just pop it all back into place. I use my 5mm hook for this one. Let's measure across 10 cent. Oh, not too far away. Exactly 10 centimeters and or 4 inches. Yep. And top to bottom, same, exactly 10 centimeters and 4 inches. So let's cut this piece. Pull our little thread through. So what you now have is these 3 pieces. Let's do it in row 1, 2, and 3. I'll bring it out. 1, 2, and 3. And this one here's got a few extra tails because, well, you know, it had a knot. There you go. All right. So as you can see, they're kind of similar. Already looking at the cotton, I can already feel in my own self that is going to stretch. Okay, but neither here nor there, and we need to use benefit of the doubt. So we're going to head off now and start washing and blocking our pieces. I'm going to leave the tails in because I will actually reuse these yarns, okay, for smaller projects. So we're going to wash and block what we have here, and we'll all meet back once that's done. You will see just a real quick rough version on how to wash and block. So off we go and start washing and blocking. Alrighty guys, now I've got a tiny little tub because our squares are only very small, yeah? Now if you had like a whole jumper, you would need a bigger tub. So in there, it's just like tepid water. It's almost cold actually. And what I'm going to do is pop a little bit of white vinegar. This is just a Cornwall vinegar. No, nothing fancy. Just a tiny little bit in there. Just like a tiny little bit. And what vinegar does, so that you didn't know this, and I learned this just, a few years ago myself, mix it all up. Vinegar stops dye from running. Well, it hopes that it stops dye from running. Now I've got 3 different colours here, and I've got 3 types of yarns. So I don't know whether those dyes will run into each other. And it's likely that red cotton can actually run, maybe. Maybe, I'm guessing. So let's pop in one, squish it down. Yep. Pop in another, squish it down. Notice how I'm putting the red in last. I'm so paranoid. It doesn't matter. I won't take it out if the dye runs. I'll leave it in there. It shouldn't. Like I said, vinegar is really good to stop dye from running into your lighter colours, but you never know. You never know, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave these items soaking in here for maybe an hour. I'll come back and we will pin it down to our blocking mat. Alrighty guys, so here I am 1 hour later. Now you can let yours soak a little longer if you like. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to give them a big squeeze. A big squeeze right now. Now we're not doing anything, I'm just squishing them together. So I'm not spreading them apart, splitting them, or doing anything weird like that. So what I do is I actually pop it in a towel. Now these are tea towels. These are old tea towels that I have in stock here that I use for small pieces. However, when I'm doing cardigans and jumpers, I use a larger towel. I just fold it over that way, fold it over that way, fold it up like so, close it, and just give it a gentle squish. I'm not worried about it over squeezing it. That's not what I want. I just want to get the excess water out, right? And the rest is easy. All right, we're going to grab our blocking mat, which is here. Move everything out the way. I'm going to pop it just on the corner here, only because I can't fit the whole mat in. Now, as you can see, guys, it's a little bit darker now because it's the afternoon, and I wanted to wait until tomorrow morning to do this, but I thought, no, forget it. I want to do it now. All right, so let's pop a pin there on one piece, a pin over here on the other side. Don't pull it because that's not what we want to do. We just want to have it sitting nice and flat, yeah? If you're pulling it to stretch. You are trying to make it stretch, yeah? Oh, I don't like wearing sleeves. I didn't want to turn the heater on today, guys. I didn't want to turn it on, so there we go. All right, oh, that hasn't got a little ball on it. And let's just pop that there. Now, it doesn't matter if it's upside down, if it's the right side up, it doesn't matter. Keeping everything nice and straight is what you need though, because when you wash and block your piece, if you do, not everyone does, you need to make sure that everything is nice and straight, yeah? Again, if you are not one to wash and block, you don't need to do this, right? But the reason I'm doing this is to show you what happens after you wash your project a few times. And they stretch. It's like anything, it will stretch. But which one will stretch right out of shape, you need to know. Before doing anything else, you kind of need to know which one will stretch. I'm trying to make this fit without spilling water everywhere. All right, look, you know what to do, guys. Just put these next two pieces on, and I'll show you that once they're done. I'll show you that once they're done. But that's what I want you to do. Put these next two pieces on next scene. You will see them on. All right, put them on now, and I'll meet you here once you're done. Alrighty, guys, they are all down and washed and blocked, and I'm sorry about the lighting now because it's really late in the afternoon, but I just wanted to get these washed and blocked and pinned down ready for you guys. Now, leave your pieces on your blocking mat for 24 hours or maybe 48, depending on the cotton. So I have a funny feeling the cotton's going to take longer to dry. So give yourself 2 days at least. When we come back, it'll be a few seconds for you, but it'll be a couple of days for me, and we'll see what's happened to our swatches. All right, I'll meet you back in a few seconds time. Alrighty, guys, here we are, believe it or not, 6 days later. Yours truly got really busy. So what I'm going to do is take these off and pop them on the table, and we will be measuring them. Remember, we use different hooks for each one of these swatches, and they're all the same ply, if you will. So I'm just going to do that now. Alrighty, guys, here's the big test. There's our 3 swatches, okay, gauges, if you will. Now let's measure them up. This one here, let's get a close up. This one here, 10 centimeters, 4 inches, perfect. And again, 10 centimeters, 4 inches. Your cotton, 10 centimeters, 4 inches, 10 centimeters, 4 inches. And your acrylic, 10 centimeters, 4 inches, and 10 centimeters, 4 inches. Now, they didn't change through their washing and blocking, but we did have to, well, I did have to mess around with hook size to make them work. We used the 5mm for both these threads here. This did call for a 5mm. This did call for a 4.5, but I used the 5. We used a 4.5 for our acrylic. So guys, we actually did mess around with hook sizes so that your piece, or in my case, my pieces, were exactly the same size for each one. All right. Now, I don't know what you're doing with your gauge swatches, but trust me, guys, I cannot stress this enough. You really need to do a gauge swatch when creating garments. So let's say, for argument's sake, this one here came out, just so we're just going to do some argument's sake, came out to be 3 inches. All right, 3 inches, right? You need 4 inches for your swatch, right? We're using 4 inches for our swatch. That's great. Or gauge, you need 4 inches. Let's say it was 3 and you were 120 centimeters for your chest. If you multiplied that to make it 120 centimeters, you would be an inch off, say 15 of them, 12 of them, we'll say 12, which is true. So 12 times 1, you'll be 12 inches short for your pattern. So that will be 12 inches tighter. That's going to be a huge difference because as you can see here with the cardigan, it's actually made to fit. It is not an extra loose cardigan. It's a tiny little bit loose, but not a lot. So it's made to fit, which means if this was smaller by the inch, you would be 12 inches smaller, making your cardigan 12 inches tighter. All right, but let's say it was an inch bigger. Then it would be 12 inches bigger. It would be hanging off you, right down to your thighs or your knees even. Can you just imagine? And I'm having a bit of a giggle about it, but just to let you know, and a gauge swatch is very, very important when creating garments. Guys, thank you so much for watching us here at Wild Crochet Designs. Don't forget, we actually have lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons and 10 a.m. Saturday morning Melbourne, Australia time. However, for the next 4 Saturdays in a row, yours truly will be at a market called Pipeworks Market here in Thomastown. They're actually reopening on Saturday the 21st, which is this Saturday, very exciting. And they are going to be opened permanently now, and yours truly will be there for 4 Saturdays in a row. So I won't be back on our lives on Saturday mornings until the, I don't know what it is, the 18th of June. However, I will still have my Wednesdays lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons. So join me for those. We have a lot of fun. We do a thing called Live Antics. You have to join to find out about that. But it's all about choosing our yarn colours, and one subscriber gets that chance to create, well, actually not really, to choose a yarn colour for our next tutorial here at Wild Crochet Designs. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all the wonderful things that you guys pretty much already do for me, and get excited about this gorgeous cardigan. Very exciting. Don't forget to create your gauge, and I will catch you all on the very next tutorial. Ciao for now.